Welcome to This Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're exploring something that is, honestly, a total game changer for wildlife rehabilitation. We are diving deep into Vantara, an unbelievable facility over in India. Now, this isn't just a zoo, it is literally the world's largest wildlife rescue and rehabilitation sanctuary. And get this, it's entirely funded by a single billionaire who just has a massive heart for animals. What they're pulling off here completely redefines how we care for rescued wildlife. And today, we're going to see exactly how they make the magic happen. So let's jump right into our exclusive tour itinerary for today. First, we'll check out the ultimate wildlife sanctuary. Then we'll dive into rescue, recovery, and healing. After that, it's diet, danger, and speed. Then we're rekindling wild animal instincts and finally wrapping up with playtime and behavioral enrichment.
All right, part one, the ultimate wildlife sanctuary. We're going to kick things off by looking at the sheer mind-boggling scale of the habitats they've built for these animals. Because when we talk about rehabilitating wildlife, space isn't just some nice-to-have luxury. It is absolutely crucial for their physical and mental survival. To put that into perspective, the crucial takeaway here is that these animals are not living in tiny, cramped pens. 50. We are talking 50 completely open acres of simulated savanna grasslands. Just imagine that. Rescue giraffes aren't just standing around looking at fences all day. They're actually spending their days roaming across a vibrant, massive landscape. And the best part? They're not alone. They're foraging and socializing alongside zebras, wildebeests, eland, and antelopes. Those other animals naturally act as sentinels for the herd, exactly like they would out in the wild African bush. It's this interconnected giant ecosystem that shows why operating at this scale is just so important. Which brings us right into section 2. Rescue, recovery, and healing. Because giving them open space is just step one. These massive creatures also need incredibly specialized, hands-on medical attention so they can truly heal. Take a look at this daily routine for the giraffes. Now, a giraffe's kick is unbelievably powerful. Like a single strike to the chest could crush your ribs and stop your heart in literally 1 second. But through patient, positive reinforcement conditioning, these towering giants actually volunteer to step into a paddock to get their food, their health checks, and even hoof scrubbings. And, my absolute favorite detail, the staff uses a specialized massaging glove. It basically looks like a heavy-duty spiked oven mitt, and they use it to give these magnificent giants daily foot massages before letting them head right back out into that 50-acre savanna. And that kind of specialized care brilliantly highlights the impact this sanctuary has on individual lives. Just think about the horrific reality of a former circus hippo. For years, this poor guy was paraded out of a tiny metal box onto a hard concrete floor, and the only water he ever felt was from a cold hose after a show. It's a devastating existence for an animal whose entire biology requires being submerged in water. But then, you look at his life now. Vantara rescued him, brought him through a 90-day quarantine, and gave him a massive, pristine lake to call home. And it gets better. They also rescued a female circus hippo, carefully introduced them, and now these two are living out the rest of their days happily bonded for life, right where they belong, in the water. Okay, shifting gears a bit for section 3, diet, danger, and speed. We are moving away from the gentle giants now because we've got to explore how a sanctuary handles the intense physical needs of fast, highly lethal animals. Because keeping apex predators happy takes a completely different kind of setup. 70 kilometers per hour. Cheetahs, as you know, are not endurance athletes, right? They are the ultimate sprint athletes. So to make sure these rescued cats stay mentally sharp and physically fit, the sanctuary constructed this massive running pen. They actually use a high-speed mechanical lure to trigger the cheetah's natural hunting sprint. And this thing gets them accelerating from 0 to 70 kilometers per hour in just 2 seconds. 2 seconds! It is just a blindingly fast, raw display of power. Now, check out this specific variation we call the king cheetah. At first glance, you might think, whoa, that's a completely different animal, but it's actually the exact same species as a regular African cheetah. What happens is they have this naturally occurring recessive gene that merges their spots into these really incredible thick patterns and gives them this distinct punk rock mane right down their back. And let me tell you, this super rare genetic tweak doesn't slow them down one bit when they're chasing that sprint lure. All right, we're going to scale back the speed now, but we are definitely turning the danger way up. 10. That is the number of distinct venomous reptile rooms they maintain at Vantara. This is a massive 3-acre facility housing tens of thousands of global species. We're We're talking lizards, monitors, frogs, crocodilians, and dozens of surplus venomous snakes that came from other zoos. And yes, that includes some of the absolute deadliest snakes on the planet. I'm actually going to bring my voice down a little bit here because this outlines a process that is just incredibly tense and delicate. See, some species, like the baby spider-tail viper from the harsh deserts of Iran, they are notoriously difficult to keep in captivity and will often just refuse to eat. So the handlers have to step in and perform an assist feeding. They take a rubber tool and very, very gently pin down this tiny, highly venomous head. Then they offer the food to trigger a natural bite response, and finally they have to delicately loosen their fingers and physically massage the food down the snake's body. And they have to do this perfectly, making sure they don't accidentally crush the tiny heart or internal organs. It is incredibly nerve-wracking, but it's literally life-saving work. Moving right along to Section 4, Rekindling Wild Animal Instincts. We are transitioning from that super delicate care straight into sheer ferocity, entering a section of the sanctuary where handlers literally have to carry protective riot shields. They will actually keep a jaguar away from their babies. I mean, that quote just perfectly captures the intense, unfiltered aggression of the giant South American river otter. These guys are widely known as some of the fiercest creatures in the world, literally capable of fighting off a full-grown jaguar to protect their pups. So when the staff or any visitors need to enter their territory for observation or to set up enrichment activities, bringing a heavy-duty riot shield is not some dramatic exaggeration. It is an absolute requirement for survival. But behind all that fierceness, there is this incredibly beautiful redemptive story. See, these specific otters were previously kept in these unacceptably tiny areas at a different zoo. And because of that trauma, they had actually lost their basic survival instincts. They didn't even know how to swim in deep water. And when the staff gave them live catfish, they just played with them. Zero hunting instinct. But through patient, dedicated behavioral enrichment in their new massive environment, they are finally learning how to swim, hunt, and thrive. Exactly the way nature intended. And this matters so much because true rehabilitation isn't just about fixing a physical injury. It is about completely restoring their wild identity. Okay, let's take a quick breather for a trivia question. What loses its spots, ends up looking like a panda, and sports a prehensile snorkel? I really wanted to build up to this one because it's a truly mythological-looking creature. It's like an animal a kid dreamed up and drew with a box of crayons. You got your guesses ready?
Let's find out in Section 5, Playtime and Behavioral Enrichment. It's time to unveil our mystery creature and see how Vantara brings genuine joy and mental stimulation to the animals living there. Meet the Malayan tapir. I mean, it seriously looks like a living cartoon. As they grow up, they lose their baby spots and develop this striking black and white coloration that totally reminds you of a panda bear. They are deeply aquatic mammals, originally from dense rainforests, and they have this wild, flexible, snorkel-like nose. To keep them entertained, the handlers actually toss heavy-duty basketball toys right into their pools. The tapirs will swim up and curiously use those prehensile snouts to investigate, nudge, and just play around with the toys. It's so fun to watch, and it's a vital way to keep their brains active. Next up, check out the sand cat. Honestly, they look exactly like adorable little domestic kittens you'd want to just cuddle on the couch. But do not let that cute face fool you. These are fierce, cryptic, and incredibly agile desert predators. They actually aren't endangered, largely because their camouflage is just that good. But here is the most mind-blowing fact about them. They are so perfectly evolved for the harsh desert that they get 100% of the moisture they need directly from the birds, lizards, and small mammals they eat. You could put a fresh bowl of water right in front of them, and they might just ignore it for days. Now, keeping these intense African cat species, like the black-footed cat, enriched requires some real out-of-the-box thinking. Since you obviously can't just throw live prey into their enclosure, the staff brings in a spinning, feathery, mechanical bird decoy. It brilliantly mimics the frantic movements of an injured bird, and that kicks their natural hunting instincts into high gear instantly. The dominant cat will eagerly stalk and kill the mechanical toy, while the submissive cat patiently waits in the wings for its turn to play predator. It's a fantastic system that keeps their minds super sharp and their bodies moving. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a big question to chew on. When a sanctuary manages to perfectly replicate the wild, does it fundamentally change what the word captivity even means? We've just seen giraffes roaming 50-acre savannas, traumatized circus hippos falling in love in massive lakes, and otters relearning how to be fierce hunters. When a facility goes to these extraordinary, literally billionaire-funded lengths to recreate the natural world, erase past traumas, and prioritize the animal's well-being above all else, I think it completely shatters our old definitions of rehabilitation. It is an incredibly inspiring look into the future of wildlife care, and I really hope this deep dive leaves you excited to learn even more about the amazing work being done to give these animals a second chance at a truly wild life.